The universe you think you know, the one where objects move through space, where time ticks forward second by second, where events happen through predictable cause and effect, is only the surface. Beneath it lies a reality far stranger, far more mysterious, and profoundly more interconnected than conventional science ever imagined. This isn't a poetic metaphor. It's a revelation grounded in the most precise and tested theory of our time: quantum mechanics. But one phenomenon within that quantum world stretches understanding to its very edge. Quantum entanglement. Two particles light-years apart can somehow behave as if they're still joined, responding to each other instantaneously, across distances that defy the speed of light. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Today, we know it's not only real, it's essential to understanding how reality itself is structured. But this isn't just about subatomic particles in high-tech labs. This is about you, about the fabric of your thoughts, your relationships, your experiences, and perhaps your very consciousness. Quantum entanglement hints at something astounding: a universe that is not made up of isolated pieces, but of deeply interwoven patterns. Events that seem separate may be linked. Minds may resonate across invisible distances. And the boundaries between the individual and the cosmos may be far more fluid than we've ever been taught to believe. In this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on the true nature of quantum entanglement and what it might mean for the interconnectedness of all things. We're going beyond textbook definitions. We'll walk through the roots of this phenomenon, explore its implications not only in physics but in the realms of thought, time, and energy. From Einstein's early resistance to the stunning modern experiments that shattered the old worldview. From metaphysical traditions to frontier science. We're going deep into the mystery of why everything, absolutely everything, may already be connected. This is not an abstract theory. This is a new lens for understanding life. This is a new way of seeing yourself. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, the world around you will look different. Let's begin. In 1935, Albert Einstein stood at the center of a growing tension in physics. Quantum mechanics had made bold predictions that worked with near-perfect accuracy in the lab, but its implications clashed with his deepest beliefs about how the universe should function. Einstein wasn't ready to accept that reality could be based on randomness, or that particles didn't have definite properties until observed. But one idea troubled him more than any other: quantum entanglement. At its core, entanglement refers to a relationship between two particles that become linked in such a way that the state of one instantly affects the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. Separate one particle from its partner by inches, miles, or even entire galaxies. Their connection remains. To Einstein, this wasn't just counterintuitive. It was unacceptable. He believed in what's called local realism, the idea that objects are only influenced by their immediate surroundings, and that the properties of those objects exist independently, regardless of observation. For him, nothing could influence something else faster than the speed of light. But quantum theory said otherwise. So, Einstein teamed up with Boris Podolsky and Nathan Rosen to publish what became known as the EPR paradox. They laid out a thought experiment meant to expose what they saw as a fatal flaw in quantum mechanics. Here's how it works. Start with a pair of particles, say electrons, that are created together in such a way that their properties are correlated. For simplicity, imagine they are created with opposite spins. One is spin up, the other spin down. Quantum mechanics tells us that, until you measure one, neither has a defined spin. Instead, each exists in a superposition, a blend of possibilities. But the moment one is measured and found to be spin up, the other must instantly be spin down, no matter how far away it is. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. He argued that there must be hidden variables, undiscovered factors, that determine the outcome in advance. To him, the strange results weren't revealing something magical or mysterious, just something incomplete. But over the decades, physicists continued testing these ideas. The real breakthrough came in the 1960s, when physicist John Bell proposed a way to actually test Einstein's assumptions against the predictions of quantum mechanics. Bell's theorem laid out inequalities, mathematical conditions, that would hold true if Einstein's version of reality was correct. But if quantum mechanics was right, those conditions would be violated. And that's exactly what the experiments showed. Over and over, and with increasing precision, Bell test experiments have confirmed that entangled particles behave exactly as quantum mechanics predicts. The results defy local realism. They show that either information is traveling faster than light, or that the concept of separate, independent objects is deeply flawed. The universe, it seems, does not respect the boundaries we once thought were absolute. But let's pause for a moment. This isn't just about equations and particles. This is about the deeper message hidden inside the math. Quantum entanglement reveals that separation is an illusion, that the universe may operate through a level of coordination that transcends space and time. It suggests that distance is not a barrier, that what happens here can affect what happens there. Not through transmission, but through connection. This shakes the foundation of how we view everything. Think about how we live our lives. As isolated individuals in separate bodies, moving through a physical world where objects are independent, causality is linear, and communication takes time. But if entanglement holds true, then those assumptions start to collapse. It opens the door to a radically different vision of reality. One where connection, not separation, is the fundamental truth. A universe that's not a collection of parts, but an integrated whole, resonating in perfect harmony, beneath the surface of what we can see. Now, to be clear, entanglement doesn't mean you can send messages faster than light. You can't use it to phone someone across the galaxy or break the laws of physics. But the existence of the phenomenon itself shows that nature isn't limited by our current understanding of time, space, or information. Einstein hoped to show that quantum mechanics was incomplete. In a sense, he was right, just not in the way he imagined. Rather than proving quantum theory wrong, the evidence surrounding entanglement pushes us to ask deeper questions. Not just about particles, but about perception, about meaning, about connection. What does it mean that the very fabric of reality behaves in ways that defy space and time? Could this strange dance of particles reflect a larger, hidden order? One that links all matter, all energy, and even all consciousness in a seamless web. We've seen how one of the greatest minds of the 20th century struggled to accept what quantum physics had uncovered. But the experiments have spoken, and they keep pointing to the same conclusion. Reality is far more mysterious and far more connected than we once believed. And now, with this foundation laid, we can begin to explore the true scope of this quantum web, one that might stretch far beyond particles and into the nature of thought, emotion, and awareness itself. Because entanglement might not stop at electrons. It might be pointing us toward the unified, invisible threads that connect all things. There's a view of reality that has guided human thought for centuries. A view that the universe is made of discrete, separate objects. Individual particles bouncing around in a vast, empty space. Each thing isolated. Each thing defined by its own boundaries. Each event caused by something just before it. This classical view gave us machines, rockets, and the technologies that built the modern world. But in recent decades, a deeper picture has begun to emerge, one that flips this traditional model on its head and reveals something far more intricate. At the heart of quantum physics lies a radical idea. That particles are not truly particles at all. They are not tiny marbles traveling through space. They are excitations of a field, vibrations within an invisible sea that fills all of reality. This idea is known as quantum field theory. It proposes that what we call particles are simply localized ripples in vast, continuous fields that stretch across the entire universe. The electron you think of as a solid entity, it's actually a ripple in the electron field. A photon is a ripple in the electromagnetic field, and so on. For every type of particle we know, this shifts the question from, what are things made of, to what patterns are emerging within the fields that already exist everywhere. And when particles interact, especially when they become entangled, those patterns become connected in ways that defy ordinary space and time. Let's step back and consider this. If everything is just a ripple in a field, and those fields fill all of space, then perhaps everything is already connected at the most fundamental level. Not metaphorically, Literally. When one part of the field shifts, the rest of the field knows. When one particle becomes entangled with another, that connection may be more like a shared vibration within a single, extended entity, rather than two separate objects mysteriously talking across a void. This challenges the very idea of separateness. It leads us to view the universe not as a collection of parts, but as a single, unfolding wave of interconnected phenomena. A web where every node is tied to every other. A living field where what happens anywhere affects everything, everywhere, whether instantly, subtly, or invisibly. Modern experiments confirm the eerie accuracy of entanglement. But they also leave a philosophical trail. When you look closely enough at nature, the illusion of isolation starts to crumble. Your body, your brain, your thoughts, they too are ripples and fields. They too arise within this same web of energy and information. And here's where science brushes up against ancient wisdom. Long before quantum theory existed, mystics, sages, and spiritual teachers around the world described reality in terms that sound eerily familiar. In Hinduism, all of creation is seen as a play of vibrating energy, Shakti, arising from a single source of consciousness. In Buddhism, the idea of dependent origination teaches that nothing exists independently. Everything arises in relation to everything else. In indigenous traditions, the earth, the sky, the animals, and the people are not seen as separate. They're all part of a sacred whole. They spoke in metaphors, but perhaps unknowingly they were describing the quantum web. It's not that science is finally proving spirituality. It's that both are pointing toward the same underlying truth. Connection is not a belief. It's not a philosophy. It's a feature of the structure of reality itself. Now, think of the implications. When you move your hand, that motion is carried by electromagnetic interactions, which themselves are ripples in quantum fields that extend beyond your body. When you think a thought, it arises from electrical activity in your brain. But that activity too is encoded in fields. Everything you do, everything you think, everything you feel, leaves a fingerprint on the invisible structure of the whole. We are participants in the field. We are waves within the wave. And it's not just physical objects that show signs of this entangled dance. Even in quantum biology, a new frontier of science, researchers are discovering clues that life itself may depend on quantum coherence. Photosynthesis in plants, the navigation of migratory birds, even the processes inside your cells. All may rely on quantum connections operating within the biological web of life. It's as if nature has always known this trick, harnessing the interconnectedness of the field to evolve, survive, and thrive. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a choice: to cling to the old model of fragmentation and separateness, or to embrace the truth that we are each expressions of a unified, vibrating whole. This doesn't just change how we understand science. It changes how we understand each other. Your actions are not isolated. Your energy is not contained. Your intentions may ripple out farther than you realize. When the world hurts, you hurt. When someone else heals, you feel it. Not through sentiment, but through structure. Quantum entanglement has opened a door. Quantum fields have shown us the tapestry. And now, standing before this vision of reality, we must ask, if all things are connected, if separation is only a useful illusion, then what does it mean to be a self? What does it mean to be human in a web where consciousness, matter, and space may all be part of the same vibrating source? In this view, your awareness isn't trapped inside your brain. It's part of the broader pattern, a pattern that spans galaxies and thoughts alike. Perhaps what we've called the external world and the internal world are both currents in the same invisible ocean. This is the vision that quantum entanglement hints at, a universe not of parts, but of relationships, not of chaos, but of coherence. We are not just in the universe. We are not just observers of it. We are waves within it, inseparable from its flow. And now that science is catching up to this truth, we are left with an opportunity to live as if connection is real, to act as if our choices ripple outward, To know that even in silence, even in distance, something sacred binds us all. In the next part, we'll explore how this interconnected reality might relate to experiences that science has long dismissed. Moments of inexplicable alignment, sudden insight, meaningful coincidence. Are these just chance? Or could they be signs of something more? Stay close. There are moments that catch you off guard. A name comes to mind, and seconds later that person calls. A song starts playing with lyrics that reflect exactly what you're feeling. You look at the clock, and it's 11:11 again without trying. These moments feel personal, unscripted, but meaningful, as if the universe is winking at you. Science once brushed these experiences aside, labeling them as coincidence or the brain's natural pattern-seeking behavior. But the theory of quantum entanglement may offer a new context, one that transforms these events from random chance into a kind of language. A feedback loop between consciousness and reality. Let's begin with the idea of synchronicity. First introduced by psychologist Carl Jung, synchronicity refers to meaningful coincidences, events that appear connected not by cause and effect, but by meaning. A thought aligns with an event. An inner state seems to manifest as an outer reality. Jung wasn't describing superstition. He was pointing to something deeper, a phenomenon where the internal and the external mirror one another without a clear line of causality. He believed there might be an underlying order to the universe, an acausal connecting principle that bridges the gap between mind and matter. This is where things get interesting. Quantum entanglement shows us that particles can be linked across distance, with no physical connection between them. Their behavior isn't just correlated, it's coordinated. Could a similar principle apply to consciousness? Let's strip away the mysticism and stay rooted in what the physics shows us. Entanglement is real. It's measurable. It happens all the time. And it shows us that information, whatever it is, does not require proximity to be shared. But here's where mainstream science hits a wall. It can measure entangled particles. It can test Bell's inequalities. But it cannot yet explain why these connections exist. That gap, that unknown, is fertile ground for a new way of thinking. What if the mind isn't confined to the skull? What if consciousness operates not just through neurons, but across a deeper field that science is only beginning to understand? In that field, what you think, what you feel, what you focus on, may be part of the same tapestry that gives rise to the events around you. Synchronicities, then, are not magic. They're not tricks of perception. They are signals of coherence. The patterns you see, the ones that feel meaningful, could be actual echoes of your consciousness resonating with the environment. Not through linear action, but through entangled alignment. You're not just watching reality unfold. You may be interacting with it in ways you're not fully aware of. Every emotion has an energetic frequency. Every thought leaves an imprint. And when the internal rhythm matches a frequency in the external world, something unusual occurs. You notice, you align, you experience the mirror. There's no need to claim this is magic or mysticism. Could be as simple as field resonance. In physics, when two systems vibrate at similar frequencies, they can begin to influence one another. This is called entrainment. Pendulum clocks on the same wall will sync over time. Musical instruments tuned to the same pitch can vibrate together even without being touched. Now ask yourself, what if your thoughts, your intentions, carry frequencies of their own? When these match vibrations in the quantum field, could they trigger resonant outcomes? Is that why you think of someone and they reach out? Is that why a solution appears the moment you stop forcing it? Is that why certain people, places, or ideas show up when you're finally ready to receive them? This doesn't mean that every coincidence is a sign. It means that some of them might be. And the key difference is your awareness. Synchronicity often occurs in states of presence. When you're not distracted, when your energy is centered, when your consciousness is tuned like an antenna, quiet enough to receive subtle signals from the field. Entanglement might be happening all the time, but only when the signal clears do you notice the pattern. Some researchers in the realm of quantum cognition have begun to explore the idea that thoughts and decisions might follow patterns similar to quantum systems. They're not saying the brain is a quantum computer, but they are noticing that certain models of behavior, especially those involving uncertainty, creativity, and intuition, seem to match the math of quantum probability. This opens the possibility that consciousness itself might be non-local, not located in any one place, not bound by physical proximity. In this model, consciousness could be a field, a distributed phenomenon, interacting with other fields across invisible dimensions. And if that's true, then synchronicity might be the evidence. The feedback, the reflection. You are not just walking through space. You are moving through a web of relationships. Every thought is a tuning fork, every feeling a signal. Every moment of clarity may be a doorway to a deeper layer of reality. So when that song plays at just the right moment, when the right person appears at the perfect time, when an idea lands out of nowhere and answers a question you never spoke aloud, pay attention. It's not always random. It might be the field responding. It might be you syncing up with the deeper rhythm. Now, this doesn't mean you control everything, but it suggests you are more deeply involved than you've been taught to believe. Your mind is not separate. Your emotions are not meaningless. And your awareness is not passive. In the quantum view, attention itself is power. Focus is resonance. And coherence between your inner world and the outer world creates what we call synchronicity. You're not just watching the story. You're part of the unfolding. The cosmic mirror reflects not just back at you, but through you, and perhaps. That's the message quantum entanglement has been trying to show us all along, that consciousness isn't a byproduct of matter. It's woven into the structure of reality itself. In the next chapter, we explore this question head-on. Does consciousness play a role in shaping the world around us? Does observing reality actually influence its behavior? And could your awareness be more than just a witness? Could it be a creator? We'll look at what happens when science meets the mystery of mind, and why some physicists now believe that consciousness might be the key to understanding quantum mechanics itself. Stay tuned. Quantum physics is precise, predicts results with uncanny accuracy. Its mathematics guide the microchips, lasers, and technologies that power the modern world. And yet, at its core lies a mystery that refuses to be solved: the observer effect. In the world of the very small, particles behave differently depending on how or even whether they're measured. An electron acts like a wave when unobserved. But when measured, it behaves like a particle. Why does observation change the outcome? What exactly is the observer? And more importantly, what role does consciousness play in this equation? Let's go back to one of the most iconic experiments in all of physics, the double-slit experiment. A single photon is fired toward a barrier with two slits. On the other side is a screen that detects where it lands. When both slits are open, and no one is watching which slit the photon passes through, something strange happens. The photon doesn't just go through one slit or the other. It behaves like a wave, going through both slits simultaneously and creating an interference pattern, just like ripples crossing paths on the surface of water. But as soon as you set up a detector to observe which slit the photon goes through, the interference pattern disappears. The photon behaves like a particle, picks one slit or the other. The wave collapses, the possibilities narrow, and this happens even if the decision to observe is made after the photon passes the slits. In other words, the simple act of knowing changes the outcome. This raises a profound question. Is it the measurement that causes the collapse of the wave function? Or is it the presence of conscious awareness? For decades, this has been one of the most hotly debated questions in all of physics. Some interpretations argue for a purely physical mechanism. They say it's not about human awareness, it's about interaction. Any measuring device, any particle, any environment capable of causing decoherence is enough to collapse the wave. But others aren't so sure. Some physicists, philosophers, and theorists have proposed that consciousness is not just another piece of the puzzle. It's the missing piece. This is where the participatory anthropic principle comes into play. Proposed by physicist John Archibald Wheeler, This idea suggests that observers are essential in bringing the universe into reality, not just passively watching, but actively co-creating what is real. The universe, Wheeler proposed, is not a machine that simply is. It's a process that comes into being through interaction, through choice, through awareness. This interpretation is radical. It means that the physical world doesn't exist independently in a definite state until it is observed. And that observation, perhaps even conscious intention, shapes the outcome. This echoes an ancient truth found in mystical teachings around the globe, that reality is not something out there. It is something reflected through you. But what is consciousness? Science still doesn't have an answer. Neuroscience has mapped the brain's activity. It can track the movement of thoughts, the surge of emotions, the dance of neurotransmitters. But it cannot explain why you have subjective experience, why a collection of neurons firing in your brain produces the sensation of color, or love, or fear. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers. Because while we can describe what consciousness does, we still don't know what it is. Could it be that consciousness is not produced by the brain at all? Could it be that consciousness is fundamental? Some scientists and thinkers believe so. They propose that consciousness may be a field, just like gravity, electromagnetism, or the quantum fields that generate particles. In this view, your brain doesn't create consciousness, it receives it, like a radio tuned to the right frequency, like a lens that focuses the infinite into a personal perspective. This idea is echoed in panpsychism, the notion that consciousness is a universal feature of reality, that everything has some form of awareness, that even atoms, even quarks, may possess the faintest glimmer of mind. It's not that rocks are thinking thoughts. It's that consciousness is woven into the fabric of all things. And that means you're not separate from the world around you. You're not a passive observer looking in. You're an expression of the same awareness that gives rise to stars, galaxies, and the laws of physics themselves. Entanglement may then be more than just a property of particles. It may be a property of consciousness. If your awareness is connected to a larger field. If your thoughts, emotions, and focus have quantum implications, then it's not just the outcome of particles that you affect. You may be shaping your reality moment by moment. This is not metaphor. This is the logic that arises when the boundaries between mind and matter begin to dissolve. The observer effect tells us that something about observation changes the world. And if observation is a function of consciousness, then your awareness carries weight in the equation of existence. This does not mean that everything revolves around you, but it means that everything includes you. You're not a detached entity floating in space. You are the node of awareness through which space becomes real. Every decision, every focus of attention, every belief may shape how the wave collapses in your life. You don't just see the world, you influence the way it forms. And if multiple observers are part of this equation, as some theories suggest, then reality itself may be a kind of co-dream, formed through collective consciousness. This has stunning implications. It means that unity isn't just spiritual poetry, it may be physical truth. That healing, intention, and focused awareness aren't just internal experiences. They're forces that ripple through the field. It means that how you think, how you feel, how you direct your mind, might be shaping the reality you move through in ways far more literal than ever imagined. And this brings us to a pivotal moment. If consciousness is a player in quantum behavior, if mind and matter are not separate, then the world you experience may be a reflection of what you carry within. This is not about positive thinking. It's about quantum alignment. You are not the result of a dead universe. You are the presence through which that universe awakens. In the next part, we move further into this mystery. We'll explore how quantum theory opens the door to parallel realities, and why every choice you make may ripple across infinite versions of yourself. Are you really the only you that exists? Or are you just one thread in an endless web of possibilities? Stay with us. Each moment presents you with a decision, left or right, speak or stay silent, accept or walk away. These choices seem small, fleeting even, but quantum theory offers a perspective that changes everything. According to one interpretation of quantum mechanics, each decision you make doesn't just change your future. It may split reality itself. The many worlds interpretation, first proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in the 1950s, suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event actually occurs, just not all in the same universe. Instead of one path being chosen while the rest vanish, the universe branches. Each outcome unfolds in a separate timeline, not just as a possibility but as a fully real, alternate version of existence. You turn left in one, you turn right in another, you stay silent here, you speak boldly over there. Each variation creates a fork, and each fork generates a new version of you. This is not science fiction. This is one of the serious frameworks considered by quantum physicists to explain how the wave function, the probability cloud of possible states, doesn't collapse at all. Instead, every possibility manifests somewhere. So where are these other realities? We don't see them. We don't interact with them in any obvious way. But according to this theory, they're not far away in space, they're separated by a kind of quantum distance. Layers of reality vibrating alongside our own, out of reach but not out of existence. Now here's where the mystery deepens. If parallel realities exist, and every decision you make spawns new ones, then what happens to the you who made the other choice? Is there a version of you who said yes when you said no? Is there a version who followed the dream you abandoned? Who never made that mistake? Who became someone you can barely recognize? And could you, here and now, somehow feel the echo of those other lives? This brings us back to quantum entanglement. If particles can remain connected across time and space, then perhaps versions of you remain linked across branches of the multiverse. Not consciously aware, perhaps, but subtly entangled, energetically aligned. That unexplained gut feeling, that vivid dream, that flash of intuition about something you've never done. Could it be a signal from another version of yourself? Not fantasy, not illusion, but a ripple of information across layers of you that still share a common quantum root. The implications are staggering, because if all possibilities exist, then reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something that responds to you. Choice becomes sacred. Every intention, every action, every thought may set the course, not just of your path, but of which version of reality crystallizes into experience. And this isn't just philosophical. It aligns with ideas in cutting-edge quantum theory and quantum computing, where superposition allows multiple outcomes to coexist. Until observed or acted upon, the universe is not fixed. It is a canvas of probabilities waiting for a brushstroke. And you are the brush. Now, let's look at this through the lens of consciousness again. If the observer plays a role in shaping reality, and every observation triggers the branching of possibilities, then the quality of your awareness matters. Not just what you see, but how you see. Fear, doubt, anger, they narrow the wave. They limit the paths available. Gratitude, clarity, purpose, these widen the spectrum. They raise your vibration, align your frequency, and shift your resonance. You don't jump timelines through force. You shift them through coherence. This idea is echoed in ancient traditions. In the Vedic concept of Lila, the universe is seen as a divine play with infinite roles, scenes, and outcomes. In the Kabbalistic tree of life, each Sephira represents a parallel version of self, existing in different energetic states. In shamanic teachings, the spirit world is layered with alternate timelines and potential futures, all existing now. Modern physics and ancient wisdom meet again at the crossroads of possibility. Not to suggest you control all things, but to suggest you are never separate from the field of creation. You're not a passive passenger on a single fixed track. You are walking a quantum braid one choice at a time. And this brings us to a concept that has gained traction in recent years: quantum manifestation. This is not about wishing or dreaming without action. It is about tuning your awareness intentionally to a version of reality that already exists in potential. When you hold a clear vision, when you align your beliefs, emotions, and energy to match it. You're not creating it from nothing. You're choosing it. You're collapsing the wave function into that outcome. Or, according to many worlds, you're shifting into the version of you who already lives that reality. The physics doesn't change based on your belief, but your access to outcomes may change based on your alignment. This is why self-sabotage is powerful. It's not just emotional, it's quantum. Doubt closes doors not by judgment, but by vibration. And this is why coherence is everything. Heart-brain harmony, mind-body alignment, inner peace. These are not just wellness buzzwords, they're quantum steering mechanisms. When all aspects of your being are pointed in the same direction, reality has no choice but to reflect it. Because in a multiverse, the version of you that truly believes, truly feels, truly acts, already exists. So what does this mean for your everyday life? It means you're never stuck, never without possibility. Even when the circumstances seem rigid, the quantum field remains fluid. Your future is not predetermined. It is probabilistic, and your awareness plays a role in which probabilities rise to the surface. In this view, intention becomes navigation, and belief becomes fuel. This isn't about escaping your current timeline. It's about refining your signal so that the world you want begins to reflect your inner reality. You're not just dreaming a better life. You're tuning to it, living it, step by step, frequency by frequency. So the next time you're faced with a choice, big or small, remember this: you are not a single self on a single path. You are a network of possibilities. And somewhere in the quantum web, the version of you who said yes, who took the leap, who followed the call, is still waiting to be chosen. In our next chapter, we bring the theory down to earth. Because none of this matters unless it changes how you live. We'll explore real tools, practical methods, for accessing this web of connection in your daily life. You don't have to wait to feel entangled. You already are. Now it's time to learn how to live that truth. Keep going. You've heard the theories. You've explored the mysteries. You've followed the threads through entanglement, synchronicity, consciousness, and choice. Now it's time to face the deepest truth of all. You are not observing this universe from the outside. You are not a passive being watching events unfold. You are not a disconnected mind floating in a sea of randomness. You are the quantum bridge, the link between thought and reality, between vibration and matter, between the known and the yet to be chosen. This is not a metaphor. This is not philosophy wrapped in mysticism. It is a framework rooted in the most cutting-edge discoveries of modern physics and the most enduring wisdom of ancient traditions. The old paradigm taught you that you were small, that consciousness was a byproduct, that life was a struggle for control over external circumstances. But the truth revealed through the quantum lens is far more profound. You are not separate from what you experience. You are participating in it. Your attention, your intention, your coherence, these are not abstract forces. They are real. They shape outcomes. Entanglement tells us there is no true isolation. Particles, once linked, remain connected beyond space and time. And if the universe is made of fields, and those fields are everywhere, then nothing is ever truly apart. Not light from light, not matter from matter, not mind from mind. You have always been connected. Not in sentiment, in structure. The implications of this are life-changing, because if the web is real, if every choice resonates through it, if every state of being sends a frequency into the field, then what you carry inside shapes what unfolds outside. The moments you doubt yourself, the times you choose fear over trust, the times you forget your worth, they don't just affect you. They affect the coherence of the whole. And the times you remember, when you breathe deeply, return to presence, and hold your vision in trust. You strengthen the field not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. That is power, quiet, invisible, real. You are not navigating life in isolation. Every thought you think echoes. Every act of compassion ripples. Every spark of awareness brightens the entire grid. This is how revolutions begin, not only in politics or science, but in perception. When enough people stop treating consciousness as passive. When enough begin to live as if their state truly matters. Then the whole world begins to reorganize, not by force, by resonance. You are the bridge between potential and form. Right now, countless futures exist as quantum probabilities, each one shaped by a different version of you, each one waiting to be activated. And the version that becomes real is chosen through frequency, not wishful thinking, not desperate hoping, but through the clarity of your signal. So when you show up with coherence, when your beliefs, emotions, and actions align, you start walking the bridge to that future. Each step stabilizes it. Each choice builds momentum. Each moment of alignment shifts your entire timeline. This is not about having all the answers. It's about tuning to the truth you already carry. And when you forget, when life feels chaotic, uncertain, overwhelming, remember this: you're still part of the field. You're still connected. Even in the storm, the web holds you. Even in doubt, the bridge still exists. Return to your breath. Return to presence. And reconnect, because the moment you do, reality responds. In this era of disconnection, the greatest rebellion is to remember that we are not separate. Not from each other. Not from the earth. Not from the quantum source that gives rise to all things. You are a unique frequency, a singular pattern, but not an isolated one. You are a point of awareness moving through time, in contact with everything, and capable of anything, not in a fantasy sense, but in a quantum sense. When you change your signal, you change your access. When you change your coherence, you change your capacity. When you change your presence, you change your possibility. So what now? Live like it's true. Wake up with intention. Breathe with awareness. Speak from resonance. Choose with clarity. Act not as a machine operating in a cold, mechanical world, but as a conscious frequency within a living field. Honor your thoughts. Guard your emotions. Refine your attention, because each one sends a message, and the field is always listening. You don't have to control reality. You have to cohere with it. Live from alignment, not fear. Live from purpose, not reaction. Live from the knowing that you are already entangled with the possibilities you seek. Because that's the truth. Not because it's comforting. Because it's written into the structure of reality itself. Quantum entanglement isn't just a theory for scientists. It's a doorway for seekers, creators, and visionaries. The veil between thought and manifestation is thinner than you were told. The distance between inner and outer is smaller than you ever imagined. And the field of possibility is open, right now, to those who remember who they are. You are not a fragment. You are a node in the web, a pulse in the wave, a conscious expression of the same intelligence that shapes stars and space and subatomic particles. You are the quantum bridge. If this message resonates, if this truth calls to something within you that words alone can't explain, then stay close. There is more to explore, more to uncover, and more to remember, because the journey doesn't end here. It begins wherever you bring your awareness next. So subscribe, stay connected, join the field of those who are choosing to live awake, live tuned, live entangled, and walk with us across the invisible threads that connect us all.